Hello, welcome to another virtual event of SUGHYD event. I am Punyavati Muttevi and Vishal Kera co-host this event. And today we have our speaker Vaishali, who's going to speak on what's your blueprint for digital strategy success. Here, over to you, Vaishali.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm super excited to be here with everyone today. I hope everyone had a good weekend. So why don't we just get started? Cool. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yep.
One, oops. Just give me some minutes. Looks like something is wrong. 1 second. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes. We can
Okay.
see the Canva.
Yes, Canva.
Okay.
It says, what's your digital blueprint, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everybody. Super excited to meet everyone and super thrilled to be here today with everyone. So, my topic for today is what's your blueprint for digital strategy success? But before I dive into it, I wanted to know anyone over here in the audience if they are developers, strategy MVPs. Maybe just exciting to know everybody on the call and what backgrounds you guys come from to make sure I address the crowd accordingly. Do we have mainly developers, I'm assuming? Yes, no,
I think we have mix
maybe.
of them.
Okay. Any developers, any strategists who could raise their hand? Okay. Looks like we have only one crowd then. Awesome. Let's just dive right into it. So, thank you everyone for being here today. Why don't we start by talking a bit more about what's on the agenda today? And I'll start with who I am, why am I here, what is actually strategy? I don't know how many of you have heard of what Sitecore BOS framework is. Dive more into how strategic planning can be used, leveraging Sitecore business optimization scheme strategies, leveraging insights from Sitecore, and then a round of Q&A. Mostly if everyone on this call are developers, I would really appreciate if you guys have any questions regarding strategy. If you don't understand how business analysts, customer experience people, or user experience design, or how do leadership team kind of evaluate what are the requirements, this is the call for you to kind of chit chat and learn and explore more together. So who am I? So my name is Vaishali Dialani and I'm from Dubai, born and raised in Dubai, a young, driven, independent girl in my 20s, figuring life out, recognized as the only side course strategy from the UAE this year. Also, the top 10 CX stars for 2023 and 2024 across the globe, and the youngest co author of the best selling book, Customer Experience 5. I work as a senior customer experience strategist for Boss Consulting, and my focus and my role evolves being that end-to-end person who knows it all about a project. So whether it's speaking to clients, getting requirements, to creating user stories, to working with developers at front end and back end, to dive through into things, to working with the UX designer on how the requirement should be designed, what's the capabilities we have inside core, and all the other fun stuff, and finally work with QA as well to make sure that what was designed and expected from the client is end of the day delivered. So CX is all about holistic experience and design, where strategy comes as a forefront or a master plan of the entire thing. But why am I here? So, my focus is to talk about strategy because I feel like there is in the world of Sitecore predominantly there are a lot of developers, but the understanding of what is strategy, why is strategy important, still there is a huge gap over there that I'm here to bridge, to advocate strategy and research. My background, I've been in the industry for about 8 years, conducted over 500 interviews in the last 7 years across education, fintech, non-for-profit, banking, manufacturing, pharmaceutical. Having this experience across these different industries, I have learned and understood how digital strategy is super, super important and plays a huge role in any and every industry predominantly. So that's me, a little bit about me, and I'm very, very excited to be here. But most importantly, I love what I do. I am here as the voice of the customer. I'm here to tell you why, as a customer, if you don't, as an organization, know what you're doing or don't have a proper strategy, it is reflected in your development. It's reflected in your product. It's reflected in your service. So I'm here to kind of walk you through that journey. Just quickly going to tell you about a small sweet holiday. Imagine you guys are on a holiday in Eastern Europe and it's the summertime, everyone's settling back in, and you're really enjoying this period. As you're walking down the alleys of Eastern Europe, you actually stop over a pizza shop, a local pizza, a delicate pizza, and you're like, oh, wow, I would love to explore that over here. So you stop over there and you ask them for a pizza. Now you ask them for a pizza, and what you get is this. Okay. It's interesting because now you have different slices of pizza. I don't it's a very, very popular concept in New York where you actually get just slices of pizza. But as a customer, I was expecting a proper pizza, which you would get, in India or in any other part of the world or in Dubai. But one of the biggest thing is that I feel that you didn't get the right pizza is because you were not the person didn't understand your requirement accurately, did not know what you were looking for, and then didn't end up delivering. Very, very similar to having things delivered to you without a strategy and with strategy. The concept of strategy in basic essence is things that tie it together to deliver the right thing, the expected results. Some of the popular keywords that you might have already heard of when it comes to digital strategy is scalability, understanding the scope of work, content, personalization, customization, requirements, omni-channel, efficiency, interchangeability, digital ecosystem. What are all these words? We all hear them. Most of the time people tell me, oh my God, strategy is such a fluffy word. I'm sorry, it's not. It's one of the most important things that is what a customer wants today. You can be the best of the best coder, but if you don't know what the customer really wants, collectively as a team, you'll not be able to deliver. And how can Sitecore help with that? And how is, SBOS in short form, how does that help tie in all of these things together? Think of this very, very simply is that if there is the right customer experience, you have the right component and the right content, all of them crumbled together to bring you the best customer experience that you can deliver. But how do you know what content you want? How do you know based on what content you're creating, what kind of component should be created and designed and then, developed to be able to create that better customer experience for our customers? So it's very important to understand that all of these things are interlinked to one another. And this is one thing I always recommend, when I talk about it in across different Sitecore user groups or in SUG Europe, is that most important is what experience you want to create and then walk downwards from it. Do you want a content to be digestible? Do you want a user to see a video, an image, and accordingly create that entire flow of the page? In short, I'm going to quickly walk you through what is digital strategy. I'll give everybody a minute to read it and then we can dive right into it. Okay, perfect. What I want you guys to take away from this is three things. First one is a priority initiative. Not everything can be accomplished within strategy, right? But you have a plan for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Prioritize these initiatives. It is important to make the business more competitive by digitalization. So think about how can you go that extra mile. Strategy is about going that extra mile for the customer. And lastly, how can those strategies support your business goals, whether it's loyalty, whether it's retention, whether it's engagement, whether it's awareness? Think about it and align with your marketing teams to make sure that A, the marketing team understands, and then based on that, you guys are developing. Don't be hesitant to ask, why are we creating this? Is this the right user story? Is this the right acceptance criteria? Is this how you want to design a component? Is this how you want to showcase XYZ on a product? It's important to ask the right strategy. Most of the time, strategy does not really get delivered to the developers by the end of it all. So it's important you guys ask these questions, because this will help you understand what are you really building and for whom and why. So I'm going to give everybody 1 second to walk through the SBOS framework. And I think this is one of my favorite things and very, very highly used by most of my customers, is the customer experience maturity model. What's interesting about this maturity model that marketers even use today is it talks about three simple things. It's attract, convert, and advocate. The level of maturity of an organization depends on their resources, their in-house capability of understanding what CX or customer experience is. It's about understanding what value are you able to create. So I'm going to pause here for a second and very quickly ask you all, where do you think customers currently are in this phase of the model or the maturity? Based on your experiences, where do you see these customers be right now? Are they in alignment? Are they in optimize? Are they in radiate? Are they in nurture? Maybe you can just put in your answers on the chat box over here very quickly. Just put in like an initiate. An initiate is where you think customers are now just thinking about being mature or use a simple brochure site or a web presence, versus there are customers who are radiating, who are using and thinking of reusing content and material. Versus you think there can be customers who are in the alignment phase where they're like, hey, we know what we're doing, but we need to make sure that it aligns to our objectives, that content is optimized to meet customer needs. Or whether they're more focused towards optimizing, where they're like, hey, we have X, Y, and Z. We know that we can actually collect data and make database driven decisions for testing and personalization. And the second last one within the convert is nurturing, where your organizations are now focused towards building strong relationships through automated trigger based dialogues, where you see you yourselves are designing more pop-ups or thinking of how you can nurture that customer. Or is it more towards engage, where you're like, okay, we know online and offline, there's a proper repository of data. Or the last one is lifetime customers, where you're optimizing cross channel customer experiences and doing predictive analysis and forecasting and all of that. So now that I've just quickly briefed, why don't you all drop in your chat box over here where you all think customers are? Okay, thank you, Rohit and Kritika. I think we have about 15 people on this call. Why don't we hear from some others as well, please? It'd be fun and more interactive. Thanks, Jatin. Yamini, Vishal, where do you all think customers lie? Anyone else? Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. I think we've got great answers over here. And I absolutely agree with most of you on this call. But based on my experience and based on, actually talking about this to a lot of people, it's very interesting to see that majority of people or majority of organizations, maybe India might be a little ahead compared to rest of the world, but mainly North America and even in the Middle East, we find that most clients are still within this phase of alignment and optimizing, where they now understand that okay, we have digital initiatives, we have marketing objectives. How do these things align together? How can we work towards understanding what our customers want, what kind of content do they want to see, and how do we optimize that? I see like now a lot of side core focused conversations being around analytics, deep diving into personalization, goal tagging, taxonomy, and a lot of other things that we'll dive into a little bit. People care about it right now. They want to do A B testing. They want to see what works better for the customer and how can you get that delivered. And that's so cool. Today, personalization is everything. If you want something specific for yourself, that's how you're going to feel you're special. And that's where we go back to, how can a business have a competitive edge? So thank you all for answering. Some of the ways you can actually do that through strategic planning is first and foremost requirements gathering. What is requirements gathering? It is a process where you're basically gathering requirements for clients to understand what do they really want? What do they want to show their customers? What are they intending to design and create? Where do they want to be in the next 1 year? What inspirational sites do they like? What behavior of those components do they really like? Understanding those things from the customers and kind of empathizing with them and saying, oh, that's what you want. This is what you want to do. This is not what you want to do, is the first and the foremost step of digital strategy. Listen, listen, listen to your customers. Don't just hear them out. Understand, document, write it down. Most of the times I hear this a lot where we have like, oh, we have a BRD, but people don't read BRDs or they don't read user stories properly, unfortunately. So I think it's extremely important to do that. If there are business analysts or CX strategists in your team who work with clients, make sure you have a one-on-one chat with them. Like I talk a lot to my front-end developers and my back-end developers because they need to understand what I heard from the client to make sure they're able to get that entire gasp of information. Next one is content reusability. And when I mean by content reusability, I'm trying to understand if how much budget do the clients have? A, what kind of content do they want to promote? Are they looking for long form, short form? Is the UX designer and an experienced designer aligned to the visualization of what that page would come up to? Do they want a feature list card or a simple rich text? Today, understanding that vision of how they want to reuse content not only on mobile, tablet, and data, but on tablet, but also what kind of digital assets are they willing to create for it? Is it a 1:1 ratio? Do they actually have the capability to do that? Or do they want stock images that they want to use and leverage? These things are again really important when it comes to putting the right strategy down, because if you don't have the right foundation of anything that you're creating, you will not be able to align and optimize or even grow and convert in the maturity scale. Simplifying naming convention. I think this is underrated in all honesty. It's how we name them that is easier for content editors. And why am I emphasizing on this? Most of the times I've realized that, if you want to make your customers digitally more mature, it is very, very important to make them feel at ease, make things seamless for them, make them feel like, hey, I don't know about this, because it's easy for me. And as simple as getting a right naming convention in place for components that they're using or for pages that they want to create, having either a very simple way of like a template name, a numeric or an alphabetical name, creates a good customer or a client experience. In Fairin, they will then be happy with the tool that they're using, and that is all a part of your strategy. Design variation matrix. Now, when I talk about design variations, think about um, different how many variations of the same component can you have, how different can they be and can still be optimized and created within the same component. It's important to think of operational efficiency at this point of time, because having operational efficiency is equally important to think when it comes with strategy. You don't want to burn yourselves out. You don't want to burn the team out. You want to think about, hey, if there are two images, how much spacing can I require? Can it go vertical and horizontal? Can it switch right and left? All these little things possible that you can think of to kind of encompass and create that component the right way, which will help. And this is a part of what UX designers would ideally do. And this is a part of digital strategy because you're then helping the end user get a good experience. Asset reusability, like I already mentioned, content reusability, asset reusability is important because you don't want to have components that have like 1:1 and then 16:5 or very random aspect ratios to fit in. So think about how assets can be used, how will you use the dam, and how do they have a proper naming convention over them, how can they store over there, and then how can they pick and choose and put it in the right pages easily as and accessibly. And last one is para- parameterization, where you actually can allow content editor authors or editors to kind of configure those components like changing the background, text alignment, image display. All of those can be done through the Sitecore experience editors. And this is again a part of strategy, because what strategy looks at is not just, oh, the product or a service or a component or a feature is developed and that's about it. No, it talks about the experience somebody is having who's going to be using it. And that's what helps become more business optimized strategy with Sitecore. Let's look at some of the ways how you can leverage insights from Sitecore to help clients become more mature. And that's again a very important aspect, because all of these things I told you about before are these 6 points, a key of strategic planning on how you can make them digitally more savvy, digitally more strategic. It's part of the planning process. But the next piece that we're going to walk into is more about leveraging insights from Sitecore. It's going to talk about experience analysis, path optimization, all of that kind of analytics part that ties in with strategy. So, experience analytics, it's super important because you want to understand and educate your customers that when it comes down to maturity, analytics is a huge part of it. Without knowing what customers want, how they want it, what are they behaving like, you will not be able to design the right thing for them. So they should actually, you should advise them to spend time on learning about what analytics are available inside core products that they are using. You can ask your business analysts or strategy consultants on, hey, did you get any numbers or analytics into what are they doing and how can we leverage it? Because you might have some ideas on when you are creating those tags or those components, how you can tag them under the right place properly so client can actually end up using them later. Path analyzer, I love it personally because you get to actually see a map that shows you sequential path contacts that customers take when they're navigating through the site. You can see every touch point, you can see them interacting through campaigns, through different triggers, what are the goals of those and how what is the outcomes for them. All of these are very important pieces, because once you're understanding the pathway somebody is walking towards, you can question your business analyst. You can ask them that, hey, if you design something this way, why is the customer behaving based on analytics in a certain way? Understanding is important. Most of the time, we are only coding, and then you lose the essence of what the customer wants, because either we're always running through finishing a project, unfortunately, or resolving bugs. Because why are there bugs in the first place? You don't know what a customer wants. So think about it again, is every time you design something, make sure you ask your question, why? Why does the customer want this? Remember, you're a customer too. You are somebody's customer. You have certain emotions associated when you don't have good experiences. And that's the same thing with any other customer. Experience optimization is how you can optimize your site. Having these content tests that allow you to test alternative variants of your site to find out which pages or components or combinations are most effective for visitors. All of this helps again to understand and optimize the right path or the right journey for your customer. And this all ties into strategy, because, say, if my strategy is awareness, but I'm all doing is engaging them, then they're going to get irritated. I'm not meeting my business goals to what I'm intending to do with my customers. Lastly, it's always important to get your basics right. I know you all already know about all of this. I'm going to dive in, sweep in very, very quickly. Think about goal tagging. Make sure every component, anything you create has goal tagging. When multiple people are working on the marketing control panel, it can be hard to tell which pages they've been specifically tagged towards. Have profile cards. Profile cards help marketers to they help marketers to be able to understand the behavior and the demographics of customers who are taking different journeys and different paths, because maybe Gen Zs behave in a certain way versus millennials versus Gen X, etc. Taxonomy tagging is extremely important. And lastly, make sure they all are seamlessly integrated. Get data right. When you're coding anything, make sure if there are no requirements regarding it, you ask. Make sure you ask, because and that really shows that you're ahead of the game as developers. You understand what a customer wants, and that will help you build the right dashboard for customers, because then they'll know that you've gone an extra mile within your organization to get them the best service and deliver something right. Remember, you always know more about the customer than themselves. I tell this again and again, is as a strategy consultant, you do know what they want. You're just helping them navigate through what's really doable versus their visualization and imagination. So you already are a step ahead of the customer. But by having a strategic, unified approach to how you can guide them, you will be able to remove friction at every touch point, at every interaction, because now you know that if a business's goal is to convert and they are still doing things at an awareness stage, they're not going to get to their goal. So, how can you get them to conversion? Put yourself in a customer's shoe. Think about, oh, if I was actually their customer, would I like this experience? Empathizing is a super, super powerful game. By understanding your customers, by listening to your customers and evaluating their needs, you will be really able to step up. Lastly, present the right content at the right time. As strategy consultants, it's also important to think about how whatever we tell the customer does not make them feel too offended, but at the same time, we deliver things the right way. The beauty of designing customer experiences actually allows you to identify and understand if users want what they want. And by having a more strategic way of doing it, puts things into perspective. So, end of the day, the choice is yours. All I would just say is just start. Start by putting things into place. Start by analyzing. Start by designing the right customer journeys for them. And you will have the right digital strategy in place for your customers on every project you work with. And with that, I would like to conclude, and I would love to connect with you all. My name is Vaishali Dialani, and you can find me on LinkedIn.
Wow, Vaishali, that was really good presentation on strategic things, because I think gone are the days where only the developer or only some part of people would get to understand the requirements. But now it is essential for each and everybody to have the data and to understand firstly what to develop and how to develop, like why to develop also is important. So I think that's a really good presentation, and
Thank you.
we need to get some more strategies as well for every project, so it will be helpful for the project itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your very kind words. I appreciate it.
Guys, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Jatin. Thank you, Vishal.
Okay, I have a question. Like,
Yeah.
suppose there is a client, as you said, right? We know a little bit ahead of them because they were working on another technology or maybe not Sitecore,
Yeah.
and they're moving into Sitecore. So how could we deal those discussions, like wherein we might be recommending something else which is good for the project itself, but the client is in a situation that he is not aware of that, but still they're not able to agree with us because they're unsure of that. So how could we deal that situation?
I think first and foremost is building trust. It depends how much trust client has on you. You know, if you come from a developer background, then they might feel like, oh, you're, or sometimes when you come from an agency background, most of the times clients feel like, oh, they're trying to rip me off. So how can I trust them? So I think it's important to make them understand and align on what their goals are and tell them there are different approaches and options for them. You can't kind of force any client to do anything specifically. I think that's what we all know and learn. But one thing you can tell them is, look, if you want to do conversion, we have 6 options for you or 5 options for you. and then ask them to make that decision for themselves. And then you can recommend them, because sometimes when you tell them, they're like, oh, I don't want it. But sometimes if they answer it for themselves, you're solving half the problem.
Oh, yes, I agree totally.
Okay, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vishali. It was really great session and great insights as well. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate, and I absolutely love being here today. I appreciate. Thank you.
thank you all. If no more
Thank you.
questions, we'll end the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.